Good morning, students. So, welcome in new lecture of Math F211, Mathematics 3. Presently, we are studying qualitative properties. Just wait a bit, something is going wrong. Yes, welcome again. So, presently, we are studying qualitative properties of the differential equation. Audio video is okay.
Yes, sir.
So last time I have given you how to find the normal, how to determine the normal form or how to reduce the normal form, and from the normal form how you can judge the nature of solution of the differential equation. So here we have some few questions, so you can note down. Right, these questions are for practice. So in this you have to determine the normal form. Right, so corresponding normal form is given to you for the given v. So here x square plus y x square y double dash minus 4x y dash plus x to power 4 plus 6 y is equal to 0. So for this normal form is u double dash plus x square u is equal to 0, v is equal to x square. Similarly 4x square y double dash plus 4x cube y dash plus x square plus 2 whole square minus 7 y is equal to 0. So in this qx is equal to 1 upon 4x square 2x square minus 3, right? So in the next question, y double dash minus cos x y dash plus sin x y is equal to 0. So here we have the qx is equal to 1 by 4 sin x plus 1 whole square minus 2, and v is equal to e to power half sin x, and it shows that qx greater than 0 for x greater than sin inverse of the 2 inverse minus 1. Similarly we have these questions, so you can practice, you can take the snap and you can practice for these questions to drive to deduce into the normal form, because questions are not available in the book, so we have the few questions for practice. Now question number 2 from the section 25: if yx is non-trivial solution of y double dash plus qx y is equal to 0, so that y has an infinite number of positive zeros if qx greater than k upon x square for some k greater than 1 by 4, and only a finite number of zeros if, right, finite number, only a finite number if qx less than 1 upon 4x square. So in this case we will solve this question by the two method. So here consider what is the given equation: y double dash plus qx y is equal to 0. Now for the comparison we are taking the another equation z double dash plus k upon x square z is equal to 0. To apply the Sturm comparison theorem, we take another differential equation in terms of the z double dash plus k upon x square z is equal to 0. So here here we have the, let qx is greater than the k upon x square, because this only we have to prove. Qx is greater than k upon x square, and this k upon x square we say it is the r square. Let's say it is the rx, it is the rx. So now what is the solution of this equation? So this is nothing, it is the Euler's equidimensional equation. So this can be written as x square z double dash plus kz is equal to 0. So we know that its auxiliary equation is what? M square plus p minus 1 m plus q is equal to 0. We can reduce this into the second order differential equation with constant coefficient. So here we have the m square p is equal to 0. So it will become 0 minus 1 m plus k, q is equal to k, so is equal to 0. So it is the m square minus m plus k is equal to 0. So here we have the auxiliary equation. So for the auxiliary equation, we have the roots m is equal to 1 plus minus root of 1 minus 4k upon 2, and nature of this root depend over the discriminant 1 minus 4k. So if the 1 minus 4k is negative, then roots are complex and occur in the conjugate pair. If 1 minus 4k greater than equal to 0, then roots are real, right? And if 1 minus 4k is strictly greater than 0, then it is the distinct. If it is equal to 0, then equal, but roots are real. So if 1 minus 4k less than 0, if 1 minus 4k less than 0, means the roots are complex and occur in the conjugate pair. So this is possible only when k greater than 1 by 4. Then this equation has oscillating solution. So the zx will have infinite number of the zeros, because due to the complex root, due to the complex root due to the complex root, solution is of the form z is equal to c1 cos of x plus c2 sine of x, sine of x, right? So so with this you will get the solution. So oscillatory solution, so it has the infinitely many solution. Now if 1 minus 4k greater than equal to 0, positive, or k less than equal to 4, k less than equal to 4, then zx will have finite many zeros. In that case, the solution will be what? Z is equal to c1 e to power m1z plus c2 e to power m2z, right? And m2x, m2x, and
Sir, don't we have to write z greater than 0?
no, means
Sir, in
that is the solution on the positive side we are talking only.
yes, sir, because in that theorem it was written for
Huh.
like qx greater than 0.
Huh, qx and rx both are greater than 0. So it is given to you, na, k is greater than 0. In
Yes.
question, in it is given somewhere. K, अच्छा, यहाँ पे we haven't like this, but k greater than 0. So here we have the, when real and distinct root, we have the roots solution like this, and when we have the equal root, then we have the c1 plus c2x e to power mx, e to power mx. Of this form, we have the solution. So if 1 minus 4k greater than equal to 0, or k less than equal to 1 by 4, then zx will have the finite number of zeros. Due to the exponential function, it has the finite number of zeros. So now yx will have infinite number of zeros if qx, now by theorem, by which theorem? By comparison theorem, by Sturm comparison theorem, by Sturm comparison theorem, by Sturm comparison theorem, qx greater than rx, right? So if rx, if the z has infinitely many solution, then their zeros occurs alternatively. So y also has the infinitely many zeros. So when y has infinitely many zeros, when qx greater than k upon x square, where k greater than 1 by 4. That is the conclusion of the Sturm comparison theorem. Now, as yx has at least one zero, as yx has at least one zeros between any two successive zeros of the zx. Thing is, if this is the zx, right? We have seen that it has infinitely many zeros. So between the two successive zeros, we have the at least one zero of the yx, at least one zero of the yx. It may be two, it may be one, but at least one there must be. So here we have the yx. So it means it shows that yx also has the infinitely many zeros, and only the finite number of zeros, and only the finite number of zeros when qx less than k upon x square. And what is the value of the k? K we have taken that k can be at most 1 by 4. So when qx less than 1 upon 4 x square. So that is the question. So just you see the question. What Let yx is the non-trivial solution of y double dash plus qxy is equal to 0, so that yx has an infinite number of positive zeros if qx greater than k upon x square for some k greater than 1 by 4, and only finite number of zeros if qx less than 1 upon 4 x square. Clear? Let us move to next question. Question number 3.
Sir, can you scroll
Huh,
up a
yes.
bit? Scroll up.
This page or previous page?
Sir, won't qx be greater than k by x square?
Qx greater than for the comparison theorem we have taken this. If it is not true, if it is not true, then only we have done a finite number of the zeros. For the Sturm comparison theorem we have taken the qx
Sir, if k is less than
with
1 by 4,
with
then
k greater than 1 by 4.
no, sir, I'm talking if k is less than 1 by 4, then we don't need to, it won't matter if qx is greater or less than k by x square, right? Because the z equation will only have one root or no root. Hello?
Yes, Harish, or Prem, something you are asking.
Sir,
Hello.
yes, sir. Sir, I was saying that if k is less than 1 by 4,
Huh?
it won't matter whether q is greater or less than k, right? Because that way it will only have uh, one solution or no solution, right?
Huh, yes. But here means we have the condition with the k only, no? Means here we have derived this means finite number of the solution with this condition. Achha, 1 minute. Presentation is not going on.
Sir,
Means we
also,
have this
yes, sir.
condition due to the k less than equal to 1 by 4,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Now question number 3 of the same exercise, section 25. Every non-trivial solution of y double dash plus sine square x plus 1 y is equal to 0 has infinite number of positive zeros. Formulate and prove a theorem that include this statement as a special case. So here we have the differential equation y double dash plus sine square x plus 1 into y is equal to 0. Means it is of the form y double dash plus qx y is equal to 0. So where small qx is sine square x plus 1. So we know that sine square x is always positive, plus 1 is always positive. So qx is always positive for all x. And when we take the integration of qx from 1 to infinity with respect to x, so integral 1 to infinity of sine square x plus 1 into dx. Sine square can be written as 1 minus cos 2x upon 2 plus 1 into dx. So this will give you 3 by 2 x minus sine 2x upon 4 and limit 1 to infinity. So this will tends to infinity. So it satisfies both condition of or hypothesis of 24c. It satisfies the both hypothesis of theorem 24c. So by the theorem 24c, result follows. What is the result? That yx has infinitely many zeros. That we have to prove. And this can also be proved by the Sturm comparison theorem. Alternative way, by Sturm comparison theorem. So for that we have to take the another equation. This is the given equation y double dash plus sine square x plus 1 y is equal to 0. We are taking, for comparing, we are taking the another equation z double dash plus z is equal to 1. So this is the very famous equation z double dash plus z is equal to 1. So let's say it is the Rx. So Rx is what? Rx is the 1. Qx is what? Sine square plus 1. And we know that the solution of the z double dash plus z as a z is equal to c1 cos x plus c2 sin x. And cos x and sin x, due to the involvement of the cos x and sin x, this solution has the infinitely many zeros. Means we can say that zx has infinitely many zeros. Infinitely many zeros. So, and it here we have the qx greater than rx. Qx greater than rx. Why? Means we have the sine square x plus 1 greater than 1. And it is the greater than 0. So sine square x plus 1 greater than 1. So here we have the qx greater than rx for x greater than 0. For x greater than 0, because at the sine 0 we have the 0. So at that time we have the 1 is equal to 1. But for all other x we have the sine square x plus 1 greater than 1. So ultimately what we have, the qx greater than rx greater than 0. So whatever the condition for applying the theorem B of section 25, right? So here we have the infinitely many zeros, since zx has the infinitely many zeros. So here, that is, zx has infinite number of positive zeros. Hence, by the theorem 25b, yx has also infinite number of positive zeros. Now, this we have proved by the custom comparison theorem or by the 24c. In this, they have asked you generalize this statement, formulate and prove the theorem that include this statement as a special case. So what is the general theorem? So here we have the statement, let y double dash plus fx plus k y is equal to 0 if fx greater than equal to 0 and k greater than 0. For x greater than 0, then every non-trivial solution of first has infinite number of zeros on positive x-axis. So fx, in place of the fx, in our question we have the sine square x. In place of the k, we have the 1. So fx greater than equal to 0 and k greater than 0 for x greater than 0, then every non-trivial solution of first has infinite number of zeros on the positive x-axis. So we have qx is equal to what? Fx plus k. So it is given to you fx and k both are the positive. So fx plus k will be the positive for all x greater than 0. And integral of qx from 1 to infinity with respect to x will give you integral 1 to infinity fx plus k into dx. So this will give you integral of fx dx, right, from 1 to infinity plus kx, and limit is the 1 to infinity. That will give you the value tends to infinity. So by theorem 24c, by theorem 24c, yx has infinite number of positive zeros. So that is the general statement. Now this question we have done. Now theorem based on the Bessel equation, last theorem, theorem C, let yp be non-trivial solution of Bessel's equation on the positive x-axis. Here yp means the solution of Bessel's equation for different value of p. That's why the yp, not a particular solution. Yp represent the Bessel's solution of non-trivial solution of Bessel's equation for different value of constant p. So let yp be non-trivial solution of Bessel's equation on the positive x-axis if p lie between p greater than equal to 0 but less than half, then every interval of length pi contains at least one zero of yp. What is this statement? If p greater than equal to 0 but less than half, then at every interval, right, at every interval, let's say it is the x naught, it is the x naught pi, x naught plus pi, it is the x naught plus 2 pi, means at every interval of pi there is at least one zero, at least one zero, at least one zero. It may be more than one, and but at least one it must be, at least one, this must be, right. If p is greater than equal to 0 but less than half, then every interval of length pi contains at least one zero of yp. If p is equal to half, if p is equal to half, let's say it is the x naught, let's say it is the x naught plus pi, x naught plus 2 pi, x naught plus 3 pi. So if p is equal to half, If p is equal to half, then there the zeros are pi length away, right? This is the pi, this is the pi. So here, if p is equal to half, then the distance between successive zeros of yp is exactly pi. Is exactly pi. Then exactly pi. If p greater than half, if p greater than half, then let's say here we have the x naught. Here we have the x naught plus pi. Here we have the x naught plus 2 pi. Here we have the x naught plus 3 pi. So if p greater than half, then every interval of length pi contains at most one zero. At most one zero means it can contain one, maybe no, then one, right? So in this interval, there is no zeros of the yp. So at most one. Clear? What is the theorem statement? Theorem C state that let yp be non-trivial solution of Bessel's equation on the positive x-axis if p greater than equal to 0 but less than half, then every interval of length pi contains at least one zero of yp. If p is equal to half, then the distance between the successive zeros of the yp is exactly pi. And if p greater than half, then every interval of length pi contains at most one zero of yp. Any doubt to understand this theorem? By the shape I have conveyed here, what is the statement? Any doubt? Anything you want to ask? Now, the last question based on this theorem. Question number 1 of your exercise, section 25. Let x1, x2 be successive positive zeros of non-trivial solution yp of Bessel's equation. Right? Let x1, x2 be successive positive zeros of non-trivial solution yp of the Bessel's equation. Means this is the x1, x2 successive zeros. This is the x1, x2 successive zeros. x1, x2 successive zeros. So let x1, x2 be successive positive zeros of a non-trivial solution yp of the Bessel's equation. If p greater than equal to 0 but less than half, so that x2 minus x1 is less than pi and approaches to pi as x1 tends to infinity. Means they are saying that the length between this is less than pi. Length between this and this is less than pi. The length between this and this is less than pi. Right? Means length between the consecutive zeros will be the less than pi. So here we have let clear the question. Question is clear. Now, if p greater than half, then so that x2 minus x1 greater than pi and approaches pi as x1 tends to infinity. So, uh, if p greater than half, then the length between the two consecutive zeros, the length between two consecutive zeros should be the greater than pi. Greater than pi. When p lie between p greater than equal to 0 but less than half, then the length should be less than pi. And when it is p greater than half, then the length should be greater than pi. And in both cases, it approaches to pi. It approaches to pi when x1 tends to infinity. When x1 tends to infinity, then it approaches to pi. Middle case. Question is clear?
Sir, what was that end statement when x1 tends to infinity? Can you repeat that?
When This x1, when this x1 is very far point, means at the infinity, at the infinity, then it means it become the stable. At that time it become the stable, or the gap between the two consecutive zeros will be the pi. Then it tends to, in that case it tends to this model, and that also tends to this model.
Okay. So what's the statement in question? Can you scroll down?
So that x2 minus x1 is less than pi and approaches to pi as x1 tends to infinity. Similarly, x2 minus x1 greater than pi and approaches to pi as x1 tends to infinity. So to prove these two statements, we will use this theorem, theorem C. Clear? So by contradictory, we prove this. Let us have the Bessel equation x square y double dash plus x y dash plus x square minus p square y is equal to 0. And here we have the p greater than 0. So this is what? This is the Bessel's equation. Bessel's equation, and its normal form we have already derived. So here I am not driving. So its normal form is equal to u double dash plus 1 minus 4p square upon 4x square into u is equal to 0. So here we write it as a u double dash plus qx u is equal to 0, where qx is equal to 1 plus 1 minus 4p square upon 4x square. Now for comparison, we are taking another equation z double dash plus z is equal to 0. So here means this can be written as z double dash plus rx z is equal to 0, where rx is what? Rx is equal to 1. And for this equation, we have the solution z is equal to c1 cos x plus c2 sin x. And due to the involvement of the cos x and sin x, we can say the solution has infinitely many zeros. And you know that what is the period of the sin x and cos x? If you say z, if you say z is equal to sin x, z is equal to sin x, then we have this. So 0, pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, and when we have the cos x, so we have like this. So here we have the pi by 2, 3 pi by 2, 5 pi by 2, right? So you can say that the difference between the zeros, right? Difference between the consecutive zeros is equal to the pi. Clear? It is the graph for the z is equal to cos x, and this is graph for the z is equal to sin x. Now, so here we have seen that z has infinitely many zeros. Now, let's say qx greater than rx. To apply the stum comparison theorem, we say that let's say qx greater than rx. Rx is what? 1. So 1 plus 1 minus 4p square upon 4x square, that is the qx greater than 1. So this implies that 1 minus 4p square upon 4x square greater than 0. This implies that 1 minus 4p square greater than 0. This implies that 1 by 4 greater than p square, or p lie between minus half to half. And I have told you p is always positive. So this implies that p greater than 0 but less than half. But less than half. In that, consider the interval, 0, p greater than equal to 0 but less than half. Zx is what? Cos x or sin x. Cos x or sin x having infinite zeros at distance pi. By the Sturm comparison theorem, by Sturm comparison theorem, theorem 25b, yp has infinitely many zeros, lies between the two successive zeros of the pi, right? Lies between two successive zeros of the pi. Then by the theorem C, we have the result. So the same result, whatever the our statement, the same result we have here. Between the two, for this p, for this p, the we have the at least one, at least one, at least one, right? At least one zero. For the p greater than half, we have at most one zero. So automatically it will give you x2 minus x1 less than pi and x2 minus x1 greater than pi. Then only it is possible. You can judge from the figure. Now we have this. Now we will prove by another way. If now please means try to observe carefully, right? What I want to say here, or I want to convey. If x1 x2 both zeros lies in the same interval, means this is let x, this is the zeros of cos x or sin x. These are the zeros of the cos x or sin x. These are, and we know that for the cos x and sin x, zeros are pi distance away. If x1 x2 both zeros lie in the same interval, in the same interval, let's say it is the x1, let's say it is the x2. If this length is pi, if this length is pi, naturally this length is the less than pi. So that is the first statement. That is the first statement. If p greater than equal to 0 but less than half, so that x2 minus x1 is less than pi. So it is possible only when, because it is given to you by the theorem 25c, that we can have the at least one zero. So we can have the more zeros also in the length of the pi. In the length of the pi, we can have more than one zero. If both zeros are in the gap of pi, then naturally their difference will be the less than pi. Now, if let's say here we have the graph, now here we have the graph, at least one. So now let's say this is the x1, now this is the x2. So now x1 and x2 are in the different length, right? So here we can say, now if x1 and x2 lie in the two successive interval respectively, then we have to show that x2 minus x1 less than pi. So for a moment, what we have to prove? To prove to prove x2 minus x1 less than pi. Let means we prove by contradictory. We prove by contradictory. We prove by the contradictory. So contradictory, for the contradictory, we assume let x2 minus x1 greater than pi. X2 minus x1 greater than pi. So when this length is greater than pi, when this length is greater than pi. Now please listen carefully what I am saying. When the x2 minus x1 greater than pi, then by the theorem C, first statement, what conclusion we have? If p greater than equal to 0 but less than half, then every interval of pi, of length pi, contains at least one zero of yp. When I'm saying that, here we have the x1 and x2, which is greater than pi. Contradictory we are taking, greater than pi. So definitely by the theorem 25c, there is at least one zero. There is at least one zero, which contradict, right? means in the when I'm saying that x1 x2 are, when x1 x2 are x2 minus x1 are is greater than pi, it means there is 2 point, there is 2 point, let's say x3 and x4, whose distance is exactly pi, whose distance is exactly pi, and in between there is at least one zero, there is at least one zero of yp by the theorem 25c. This contradict what? That x1 x2 are the successive zeros. It means there is one more zero between two successive zeros, which is not true. It means whatever the assumption we have taken, that is the wrong. So that is written here. Now, if x1 and x2 lie in the two successive interval respectively, then we have to show that x2 minus x1 greater than less than pi. Let, if possible, x2 minus x1 greater than pi, then we can find 2 point, say x3 and x4, x3 and x4, x3 and x4 belong to interval x1 x2 such that x4 minus x3 is equal to pi. So since x4 minus x3 is of length pi, so by the theorem 25c, for p greater than equal to 0, less than pi, less than half x3, in the interval of x3 x4 of length pi, there must be at least one positive zeros of yp. This implies that x1 x2 has at least one positive zeros of the yp, which contradict the fact that x1 x2 are the two consecutive or the successive positive zeros of the yp. This implies that x2 minus x1 cannot be greater than pi. Now, if clear this part, if x2 minus x1, let's say x2 minus x1 is equal to pi, let's say they are not greater than x2 minus x1, this is the x1, this is the x2, and length is only the pi. Then also by the theorem 25c, there is 1 point, there is one zeros of the yp, because in every length of the pi, for p greater than equal to 0, less than half, there is at least one zero. So then also they are not successive, x1 and x2 are not successive, there is one zeros of the yp. Then again x1 x2 has at least one positive zero of yp, which again contradict the fact that x1 x2 are two positive successive zeros of the yp. This implies that x2 minus x1 less than pi, not equal to pi, not not greater than pi, not greater than pi. X2 minus x1 is less than pi. That is the part A. Now, in this case, what we have taken, here we have the x1, here we have the x2, in between all point are the x. So, qx is given to you, qx is given to you, qx is equal to what? 1 plus 1 minus 4p square upon 4x square. So, all x are greater than x1, right? For x greater than x1, as x1 tends to infinity, as x1 tends to infinity, this implies that x tends to infinity. As the x tends to infinity, the qx tends to 1, right? As x tends to infinity, qx tends to 1. So as x1 tends to infinity, x tends to infinity, so qx tends to 1. So qx tends to 1 means our equation will become the y plus y double dash plus y is equal to 0, and whose solution is what? C1 cos x plus C2 sin x. And for this we know that zeros occur at the pi distance. Zeros occur at the pi distance means x2 minus x1 is equal to pi. So hence u is equal to, or y is equal to, you can say, hence y is equal to c1, it should be the y is equal to c1 cos x plus c2 sin x, which is periodic with period pi. Now B part. Now in the B part, when p greater than half, the distance between two zeros, the distance between the two zeros must be greater than pi. Must be greater than pi. So since we know that p greater than half, for every interval of length pi has at least one zero of the yp, has at least one zero of yp. If possible, let us suppose, if possible, let us suppose x2 minus x1 less than pi. If x, this is the x1, x2, and the distance is the less than pi, it means we can determine some point, let's say x3 and x4, whose distance is exactly pi, whose distance is at least exactly pi. And what is the theorem 25c? Theorem 25c state that theorem 25c state that if p greater than half, then every interval of length pi contains at most one zero. But now you can see we have the two zeros, right? We have the two zeros in the length of pi. In the length of pi, we have the two zeros. So that again contradict the theorem 25c. So that cannot be possible. If possible, let us suppose x2 minus x1 less than pi. Then we can find x3 and x4 such that x1, x2 belongs to x3, x4, and x4 minus x3 is equal to pi. So interval x3, x4 has at most one zero, positive zero, by the theorem 25c. But x1, x2 are the two zeros belonging to interval x3, x4, which contradict the fact for p greater than half, every interval length pi has at most one zero. So that is the conclusion. So that is the end of this chapter. In next class, we will start the new chapter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.